Have you ever felt like life was tearing at the very core of your being? Like the weight of the world pressed so hard against your chest that breathing became a battle? In those raw, desperate moments when everything inside screams to give up, where do you turn? What if the true source of strength you seek is not found in fleeting motivation or temporary escapes, but in a timeless truth revealed over 2,000 years ago, through the life of Jesus Christ? Imagine a man who faced rejection, betrayal, pain, and unimaginable suffering, yet did not crumble under the crushing pressures of existence. This man walked through storms fiercer than any we could imagine, and yet, he emerged unbroken. His resilience was not born of human willpower alone but from a divine secret, woven into every word he spoke, every action he took. This secret, hidden in plain sight within his story, is a roadmap to becoming unshakable in a world designed to break us. Life will always be unpredictable. Storms come without warning, dreams shatter like glass, and the path ahead can blur into shadows of doubt and fear. We all face moments when the future looks grim, when the inner flame flickers dangerously close to extinction. But here's the astonishing truth. Jesus didn't just survive his trials, he transformed them into triumphs, teaching us how to harness pain, grief, and despair into a wellspring of strength. His resilience was not denial or numbness, it was raw, honest confrontation with hardship, coupled with an unyielding trust in a higher purpose. It's a call to stand firm not because the storm is weak, but because your spirit is fortified by something greater than circumstance. This is not just a story for the devout, it's a blueprint for anyone yearning to rise, to hold their ground when everything around them is crumbling. In the next moments, we will delve deep into 6 powerful lessons Jesus left behind, each a key to unlocking a resilience that does not fade when life turns dark. These are not abstract concepts but practical truths rooted in courage, faith, and love. They challenge us to rethink what strength truly means and invite us to embody a spirit that can weather any storm. From embracing vulnerability without surrendering to fear, to transforming pain into purpose, these teachings compel us to rise above the chaos, to stand firm when giving up seems easier. They demand that we confront our own weakness honestly while daring to trust in a power beyond our own. I believe this secret, when truly grasped, can shift everything. It does not promise an easy life, but it guarantees a strong heart, a soul that remains unshaken amid turmoil. And in a world starving for hope, this ancient wisdom still lights the way. Stay with me as we uncover the path Jesus carved for resilience, strength, and an unbreakable spirit. This journey is not just about surviving, it's about thriving against all odds, embodying a strength that echoes through eternity. Trust in God is not a mere whisper of hope but a fierce, unyielding anchor that holds fast when the waves crash hardest and the sky darkens without mercy. It is the bedrock beneath every step, the invisible force that steadies the soul when the ground shifts beneath our feet. Imagine standing in the desert, parched, starving, utterly exposed to the elements, and yet refusing to bow to the immediate cravings of the flesh. This was Jesus, exhausted, vulnerable, yet unwavering. When confronted by the tempter, the devil offered him a shortcut, a way to quench his hunger instantly by turning stones to bread. A temptation that promised relief but demanded compromise, and Jesus' response pierced through centuries of human struggle. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. This declaration shatters the illusion that strength is born from satisfying our physical cravings or manipulating circumstances to our favor. True resilience arises from trusting in a divine plan, in promises etched beyond our comprehension. waiting to unfold in their perfect timing. This trust demands surrender, a word that often ignites fear in our hearts because surrender feels like losing control. Yet, paradoxically, surrendering to God's sovereignty is the ultimate act of strength. It is the moment we stop fighting against the tides and instead ride them with grace, knowing that the storm is not the final chapter. When life's tempests roar, whether in the form of financial ruin, crushing illness, or the ache of a broken heart, this surrender becomes the anchor that refuses to budge. David's triumph over Goliath was never about the sling or the stone. It was born of unshakable faith in a God who battles on his behalf. This is the kind of trust that transforms the impossible into victory. But trusting like this is no easy feat. It requires daily courage to release our iron grip on life's reins, to silence the restless voices demanding immediate answers, and to step forward in humility, acknowledging that our understanding is limited. It is a constant battle against doubt and fear, a test of patience when the path ahead is obscured. Yet, when we dare to trust, something miraculous happens. Our pathways straighten. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable become mere stepping stones. Our strength is not something we conjure from within but a renewal bestowed upon us from a source far greater, infinitely wise and loving. I have seen in my own journey how this kind of trust reshapes the very fabric of struggle. It does not erase pain or erase hardship. Instead, it colors them with purpose and resilience. To trust God fully is to say, I may not see the full map, but I believe the guide knows the way. This trust is the fire that forges resilience, the quiet power that makes the heart unbreakable. It is the foundation upon which every other secret of strength stands firm. Without it, we are like ships adrift. With it, we become warriors equipped for every battle. The path to true strength begins here, anchored in trust, unwavering, and alive with divine promise. Prayer is the heartbeat of resilience, the sacred thread weaving our fragile humanity to the infinite strength of the divine. It is not a desperate plea thrown into the void when all else fails, but a relentless conversation that fuels the soul's endurance through life's fiercest trials. Picture Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, the weight of the world crushing down upon him, knowing the agony that awaited on the cross. His prayers were raw, drenched in anguish, trembling with the sheer magnitude of impending suffering. Yet, even in that darkest hour, his voice rose in surrender. Not my will, but yours be done. This moment reveals the profound power of prayer, not as a shield against pain, but as the very source of strength that transforms pain into purpose. This was not a one-time outburst but the culmination of a life immersed in persistent prayer. A steadfast spiritual discipline that carried Jesus through betrayal, loneliness, and ultimate sacrifice. His disciples, unable to remain awake and pray alongside him, exemplified the human tendency to falter, to seek quick fixes instead of enduring the slow, sometimes painful work of spiritual perseverance. But Jesus' unwavering commitment to prayer reminds us that resilience is forged not by moments of strength alone, but by the continuous, humble return to God's presence even when exhaustion threatens to consume us. In prayer, our restless, anxious minds find a stillness that no worldly comfort can provide. Our scattered thoughts, overwhelmed by fear and doubt, align with a divine order that surpasses human understanding. This alignment does not erase the storm but equips us with a peace so deep it defies circumstance. I have witnessed in my own life how prayer, when practiced persistently, shifts the very fabric of struggle. It does not magically erase challenges, but it rewires our response, transforming fear into faith, anxiety into calm resolve. The call to pray without ceasing is not a burden but an invitation to live continuously connected to this wellspring of power. It is the lifeline that sustains us when hope flickers, the quiet fortress protecting us from despair's siege. When the world presses in, threatening to shatter our spirit, prayer becomes the steady drumbeat that marches us forward. It reminds us that our strength is not self-made but received through humble dependence. I believe persistent prayer is the secret weapon Jesus offers to all who seek to stand strong. It is the intimate, unbreakable bond that keeps us anchored, not in avoidance of suffering, but in the courageous embrace of it. To pray is to say, I may be weak, but I refuse to be defeated. And in that defiance lies a power far greater than any earthly force. Prayer is where resilience is born, where the human spirit meets the divine, and where strength transcends every trial. True strength is often mistaken for dominance, power, or prestige, yet the most profound force in the universe is found in humble service. Jesus, the teacher and sovereign King, shattered expectations in the final hours before his crucifixion. At the Last Supper, he did something no one anticipated. He stooped low, literally lowering himself to wash the dusty, worn feet of his disciples. This was not a mere gesture of kindness. It was a radical declaration that greatness is not about being served but about serving others. The room was stunned. The Lord of all humbled himself to the role of a servant, flipping the world's definition of strength upside down. In that moment, Jesus revealed the secret that many still resist. The true measure of power is found in humility. Serving others pulls us away from the narrow prison of our own worries and opens our eyes to the vast landscape of human need around us. When we place the needs of others before our own, our spirit is renewed in ways no amount of personal gain or achievement can replicate. It is a shift from self-centeredness to purpose-driven living, where the heartbeat of existence is the love we pour out rather than the accolades we accumulate. What astounds me deeply is how serving with faith transcends scarcity. Jesus demonstrated this miracle when faced with an impossible situation, feeding 5,000 hungry souls with only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Rather than lamenting what was lacking, he chose to serve with trust in God's provision. The result was abundance, not just enough, but overflowing. This teaches us that serving others is not limited by our resources. It is empowered by faith and generosity that can multiply beyond our wildest imaginations. Yet, serving is not always easy. It demands courage to step outside our comfort zones, humility to put others first without expectation, and love that does not calculate the cost. It is in this triad of virtues that our emotional and spiritual strength is forged. Serving becomes an act of defiance against a culture obsessed with self-promotion and individualism. It is a mirror reflecting the very heart of God, who, though infinite and majestic, chose to serve humanity through sacrifice and compassion. From personal experience, I know that when I serve authentically, my own burdens feel lighter, and my purpose becomes clearer. There is a transformative power in bending low for others, a strength that doesn't weaken but builds resilience and courage. It humbles the proud, empowers the weak, and ignites a flame of connection that can light the darkest paths. Serving others is not just an act, it is a lifestyle that cultivates a spirit unbreakable by hardship. This is the paradox of strength Jesus laid before us. The way up is down. The path to greatness is paved with acts of humble service. To serve is to tap into the divine source of power, to embody love in action, and to become vessels through which God's strength flows freely. It is a call not only to act but to transform, to become strong not by elevating ourselves, but by lifting others, revealing the profound strength that lies in humility and service. Faith is the quiet force beneath the chaos, the invisible anchor that holds us firm when every gust of wind threatens to pull us under. It is not the absence of fear, but the defiant presence of trust amid the storm. Imagine the Sea of Galilee, waves crashing with fury, winds roaring like a wild beast, and Jesus, the Son of God, sleeping with a calm that defied every natural instinct. Meanwhile, his disciples, gripped by terror, scrambled in panic. Their fear was real, but so was the lesson Jesus imparted with a gentle yet piercing rebuke. Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? This question is not just a reprimand but a call to awaken to the power that faith holds. A power not visible to the eye but palpable to the heart. Faith is not passive wishful thinking. It is active trust in the divine goodness and sovereignty. Especially when the horizon is cloaked in darkness, it means believing that beneath the turmoil, God's hand is at work, weaving threads of purpose through pain. The story of the woman who was healed simply by touching Jesus' garment is a testament to faith's potency. She came with nothing but a desperate hope, a fragile thread of belief. Yet that small act of faith unleashed a miraculous transformation. This teaches us that faith doesn't require perfection or grand gestures. Even the smallest spark can ignite a fire powerful enough to change everything. I've seen how faith acts as an anchor in the hardest times, not by removing the storm but by steadying the soul through it. It brings a peace that transcends all understanding. A peace that settles deep within, untouched by the chaos outside. It gives courage when the path ahead is steep and uncertain, and a quiet assurance that we are never alone in the fight. Faith whispers that what is unseen is working behind the scenes, that God's purpose is unfolding even when we cannot trace its steps. This unseen anchor calls us to hold fast when surrender feels easier. To trust when the evidence points to despair. It invites us to let go of the frantic need to control outcomes and instead cling to the promise that God's power surpasses all obstacles. In this, faith becomes more than belief. It becomes a lifeline, a fortress, a wellspring of resilience. To embrace faith in difficult times is to choose hope over despair, light over darkness, courage over fear. It is a radical act of defiance against the storm's fury, a declaration that no matter how wild the waves, we will not be swept away. This is the profound truth Jesus embodied and calls us to live, a faith that anchors the soul, steadies the heart, and transforms turmoil into triumph. Forgiveness is the fierce, unyielding force that shatters the chains of bitterness and ushers in true freedom. It is not a surrender to weakness, but a bold declaration of spiritual strength that few dare to embrace fully. Imagine the scene on the cross, where Jesus, bleeding and broken, lifts his voice in a prayer so radical it echoes through eternity. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Here lies the ultimate demonstration that forgiveness is not capitulation but power, power to transcend injustice, pain, and even death itself. This act alone redefines strength. Holding onto resentment is like clutching a burning coal. Each moment fueled by anger only scorches our own hearts. The bitterness festers, a prison built not for those who wrong us but for ourselves. Forgiveness, by contrast, is the key that unlocks this prison, freeing us to breathe peace into the deepest parts of our soul. It's a liberation that no external victory or personal success can match. Yet forgiveness is no simple switch to flip. It demands humility, the courage to let go of our demand for retribution and to trust in God's perfect justice, which operates beyond human timing and understanding. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting the harm done, nor does it excuse wrongdoing. It refuses to condone injustice but chooses to release the corrosive weight of anger that threatens to consume us from within. This release is a conscious, often painful decision to open the door to healing and restoration, not just for others but for ourselves. From my own journey, I have learned that forgiveness is a relentless, ongoing process. It is not a single act but a lifestyle, a constant return to grace when bitterness tries to reclaim ground. Each day presents new battles with resentment, yet each day also offers the opportunity to mirror the mercy God has extended to us. This kind of forgiveness demands vulnerability, patience, and a heart willing to be broken and remade. In a world quick to demand justice through retaliation or silence pain beneath walls of anger, forgiveness stands as a revolutionary act. It is a path that leads not away from strength but into its deepest wellspring. Forgiveness reveals a power so profound it transforms enemies into blessings and wounds into testimonies of grace. It is here, in the paradox of forgiving the unforgivable, that we discover a freedom that the world cannot give nor take away. Forgiveness, then, is more than a spiritual discipline. It is the very essence of freedom and resilience. It invites us to live beyond the shackles of our past hurts, to walk boldly into healing, and to reflect the boundless mercy that first forgave us. It is the path where true strength and lasting peace meet, an eternal dance between grace and courage that defines the soul that will not be broken. Surrender is the paradox where true strength takes root, not in resistance, but in the courageous act of yielding to a purpose far greater than our own desires. The moment Jesus knelt in the Garden of Gethsemane, wrestling with anguish and fear, yet whispered, "Not my will, but yours be done," reveals the profound tension that exists within every human heart. It is the battle between clinging to comfort and embracing the unknown, between human longing and divine obedience. This prayer is not a defeat but a powerful declaration that real resilience is born from surrendering control and trusting God's perfect plan, even when that plan leads through shadowed valleys of pain and confusion. I find in this moment a lesson that cuts deeper than any easy answer. Life's suffering is not a sign of abandonment but a crucible designed to refine and strengthen the soul. To surrender to God's will is to choose faith over fear, to trust that every tear and trial has meaning beyond what we can see. It means believing that the broken pieces of our story are being woven into a masterpiece only God can envision. Abraham's readiness to offer his son Isaac, and Job's steadfastness amid relentless loss, stand as monumental examples of faith's power to transform surrender into spiritual growth. These narratives remind us that accepting God's rule is not passive submission but an active, daily choice to align our hearts with divine purpose. This kind of surrender requires more than just words. It demands a radical trust that God's timing is flawless. Even when the waiting feels unbearable, it is a fierce faith that holds steady when life's storms rage on, knowing that God's sovereignty is absolute and His love unfailing. I've wrestled personally with the tension between wanting to control outcomes and the terrifying freedom of letting go. It is in those moments of surrender that I have discovered a strength not my own, a peace that surpasses understanding, and a resilience that carries me beyond my limits. Surrender does not erase the struggle, it transforms it. It turns resistance into acceptance, bitterness into hope, and despair into anticipation of God's glory revealed. It empowers us to walk through suffering with grace, knowing that we are held in hands stronger than our fears. This surrender is the final secret Jesus revealed, a strength forged in humility, trust, and obedience that no trial can destroy. To accept God's will is to embark on a journey where faith becomes the compass, and surrender the path. It is a call to release the illusion of control and embrace the divine rhythm guiding every step. In this sacred surrender, we are not broken but made whole, not defeated but victorious, carrying a strength that endures beyond the storm into eternal light. The journey to true strength is a relentless climb, carved by daily choices that demand more than fleeting courage. They require a steadfast commitment to live by secrets that defy worldly logic yet empower the soul beyond measure. Trust that defies sight, prayer that refuses to silence, service born from humility, faith that anchors amidst storms, forgiveness that liberates, and surrender that transforms. These are not mere ideas, but the lifeblood of resilience itself. Jesus walked this very path, not as a distant ideal but as a living example. He did not seek to escape suffering. Instead, he met it head-on with a heart overflowing with divine love and unwavering courage. His footsteps beckon us to rise from the ashes of our trials and claim a power that transcends pain. A strength born not from the absence of hardship but from the relentless refusal to be broken by it. Embracing these 6 secrets is no simple task. It is a radical reorientation of life. It means waking each morning ready to place trust where eyes cannot see, to pour out prayers that steady the heart, to lower ourselves in service even when pride screams otherwise, to anchor our hope in faith when the tides threaten to sweep us away, to choose forgiveness when bitterness screams for justice, and to surrender control when fear whispers lies. This is a daily battle, a sacred war fought within, but the reward is a soul fortified, a spirit unshakable, and a life that shines as a beacon amid darkness. I speak from the depths of my own struggles, knowing the weight of despair and the ache of uncertainty. Yet, I also testify to the transformative power that flows when these secrets become our compass. They do not erase the storms but give us the strength to dance in the rain, to face the tempest with unyielding hope, and to emerge not just surviving, but thriving. So I challenge you now. Live these secrets boldly. Let trust be your foundation, prayer your refuge, service your weapon, faith your anchor, forgiveness your freedom, and surrender your victory. Allow these truths to shape your every thought, action, and moment. In doing so, you become part of a greater movement, a wave of resilience rippling through the world, lighting the way for others lost in despair. If this message stirs something deep within you, do not keep it silent. Share it, breathe it into your communities, and let it ignite a fire that cannot be extinguished. Together, we stand stronger, united by faith and resilience, ready to face whatever storms come with hearts unbreakable and spirits alive. This is the call, to live not by fear, but by the divine strength revealed through Jesus, embracing each day with courage and hope unshakable. The power is in your hands. The time is now. Rise, and let your life be the testimony of strength that changes the world.